She only wanted a chance, a meal in exchange for music. A homeless black girl, clutching her only treasure, sat quietly by an old piano. But when she asked to play, the crowd laughed, mocking her before she even touched a key. They saw nothing but her ragged clothes and hungry face. What they didn't know was that behind the pain, behind the hunger, lived a gift that could silence an entire room. In a world so quick to judge, how could one moment of music change everything? Before the laughter, before the judgment, there was just a girl with a dream and an empty stomach. Her name was Maya. She had once lived in a home filled with warmth and music where her mother's gentle hands guided hers across piano keys. But life changed quickly. A family tragedy, mounting bills, and an unforgiving world left her with nothing but her gift and the clothes on her back. On the streets, Maya became invisible. People walked past her without a glance, their eyes fixed anywhere but on her. To them, she was just another homeless girl in a city that never stopped moving. But inside, she carried a fire that couldn't be smothered. The memory of every note, every chord, every melody she had ever played. Each day, she searched for food, for shelter, for a scrap of kindness. Yet every night, her dreams echoed with music. She didn't want pity. She didn't want handouts. All she wanted was a chance to prove that she was more than the world believed her to be. And so, when she saw that piano sitting in the corner of a crowded cafe, her heart skipped. A beat. Could this be her moment? Could this be the chance to remind the world and herself who she truly was? The cafe was alive with chatter and laughter, the clinking of cups and the hiss of steam. Maya hesitated near the corner, her eyes locked. On the piano, it gleamed under the soft lights, polished and waiting, yet completely out of reach. Gathering her courage, she whispered her request to the man behind the counter. "Can I play for food?" His eyebrows shot up. For a moment, the cafe fell silent. Then a few chuckles bubbled up from nearby tables. A group of students in crisp clothes smirked openly. One of them said loudly enough for everyone to hear, "What's next? She's gonna pay rent with lullabies?" Laughter followed. Maya's cheeks burned, but she stood her ground. She had nothing left to lose. The manager, half amused and half irritated, finally shrugged. "Fine. You want to play? Go ahead, but don't scare off my customers." The snickers grew as she stepped toward the piano. Every pair of eyes seemed to pierce her ragged clothes, her messy hair, her thin frame. To them, she was just another homeless black girl daring to step into a space that wasn't meant for her. The room reeked of doubt, of prejudice, of people convinced she didn't belong. Her hands trembled as they hovered above the keys. A woman near the front muttered, "This'll be good for a laugh." The weight of their words pressed on Maya's chest, threatening to crush her. Her hunger screamed. Her dignity begged her to turn back, but her heart refused. Then, with one deep breath, she pressed the first note. The sound cut through the cafe like lightning, rich and full, nothing like the clumsy noise they expected. Gasps replaced laughter. Fingers moved faster, pouring years of pain, loss, and hope into every chord. The cafe that had mocked her moments before now sat frozen, caught in the storm she unleashed. But just as silence began to shift into awe, the injustice sharpened. A man from the back rose angrily. "Enough!" he barked. "We don't need her kind here, pretending to be something she's not." His words sliced through the music, and suddenly the air grew tense again. The old prejudices roared louder than the piano. Would they throw her out? Would they silence her gift before it could shine? Maya's hands hesitated for a heartbeat, the weight of every cruel eye on her. The moment hung between despair and triumph, the kind where one wrong move could shatter everything. And yet, instead of breaking, she struck harder, louder. Her music rose, daring anyone to stop her. But what happened next would leave the entire cafe stunned and change Maya's life forever. The man's voice boomed across the cafe, filled with contempt. "She's nothing but a beggar. Get her out of here before she embarrasses us all." His words dripped with venom, and others began to murmur in agreement. Some shook their heads, whispering about how she didn't belong, how a girl like her had no right to sit at that piano. Maya's fingers faltered. For a split second, the weight of their judgment nearly crushed her. All her life, doors had been slammed in her face, not because of her ability, but because of her skin, her poverty, her circumstances. This moment was no different, except this time, she had a voice. With tears threatening to spill, Maya pressed harder, her hands racing across the keys with a fury born of survival. Each note screamed against the hatred, against the prejudice, against every cruel laugh that had ever been thrown her way. The cafe that had been full of noise and mockery now sat in stunned silence, chained by the undeniable truth pouring from her soul. But the louder she played, the more furious the man grew. He stormed toward her, fists clenched, his shadow swallowing the light that fell across the piano. "Enough!" he roared, slamming his hand on the lid, trying to silence her. The room gasped, some in outrage, others in fear. For a moment, it seemed like the music would die, crushed beneath his anger. But Maya refused to stop. She lifted her hands just as he tried to shove the lid down and struck a chord so powerful, so pure, it drowned him out completely. The sound shook the cafe, commanding every ear, every heart. In that instant, her music became something more than survival. It became defiance. And as the final note soared, the question hung heavy in the air. Would the world finally hear her? Or would they let prejudice silence her gift forever? When the last note faded, silence filled the cafe. No one laughed now. The same mouths that had mocked her sat open, speechless. Even those who had joined in the jeers couldn't deny what they had just witnessed. Maya hadn't just played the piano, she had poured her soul into it, breaking every wall they had built around her, but the damage of their cruelty lingered. For Maya, this wasn't just about proving her talent, it was about survival in a world that judged her before she even touched the keys. She left the cafe that night with nothing in her pockets, but with something far more powerful: the truth that her gift could no longer be ignored. And yet, the story doesn't end at one piano, in one cafe, because Maya's struggle isn't hers alone. It echoes through every child denied opportunity because of the color of their skin. It echoes through every artist overlooked, every dream dismissed, every voice silenced by prejudice. Racism doesn't just break people, it robs the world of their brilliance. Maya's music reminds us that behind every face we dismiss, there may be a story, a gift, a genius waiting to be heard. How many prodigies have been lost to our blindness? How many voices have we silenced because we refuse to see beyond the surface? Her story is not just a tale of music, it's a call to action, to listen before we judge, to see before we dismiss, to stand against the quiet cruelties that happen every single day. So ask yourself this: the next time you're tempted to look away, to laugh, or to doubt, will you be part of the silence? Or will you be the one who finally chooses to hear the music?